This man's life story is truly incredible. His name was John Anger, and he was born in 1830 in Great Ryborough, Norfolk, to Luke Anger and Mary Parker. John's life got off to a tragic start, as his mother passed away in 1834, when John was only 4 years old. His father remarried and had 3 more children. And by 1836, his father was the landlord of the Marine Tavern in Great Ryborough. Between September 1854 and January 1856, John served with the King's Own Lancaster Regiment in the Crimean War, and was awarded the Crimean War Medal with clasp for the Alma, Balaclava, Inkerman, and Sebastopol campaigns. It's unbelievable to think this photo survives from this time. In 1861, he married Maria Hendry in Weazenham, Norfolk, and by 1867 they had moved to King's Lynn, where they lived in Melbourne Street. They had 3 children, Robert, Mary and Arthur. This was a time when disease was rife, as their 2 eldest children, Mary and Arthur, passed away within days of each other, aged 8 and 5 respectively. You can just imagine what John had witnessed, with the loss of his mother, the tragic scenes he would have seen in the Crimean War, now losing 2 children. But the pain didn't stop there, as his wife Maria died in November 1877. By now, John and his son Robert were living in Friar Street, and on Christmas Day 1878 he married Sarah Guymer. John worked as a carpenter at the local manure works. In 1881, there was a fatal accident where John was a witness. He was making a large tank and had finished it, and his colleague Joseph Oakes was assisting him in turning it over. They were doing this about 3.5 feet from an evaporating tank, which was filled with boiling ammonia. It was about 18 inches deep. When the new tank was nearly onto the ground, witness said let go. It was falling on his toes, and he stepped backwards and fell into the tank. Sadly, the accident proved fatal, and the verdict of accidental death was given. 4 years later, Arthur Oakes of Checker Street was charged with using abusive language and threats to John Anger. Arthur was the brother of Joseph Oakes, who had died in the accident. He tendered an apology, which was accepted, and the case was settled on payment of costs. Tragedy struck again, as his wife Sarah died in 1896, and John married for a 3rd time in 1898 to Annie Radford. They lived at 79 Friar Street, but by 1911 they had moved to Backham's Almshouses. John passed away in April 1913, aged 82. His obituary said the death was due to internal trouble. He was one of 30 Crimean War veterans who lived in the district, and one of only 3 still living. The coffin was conveyed from his late residence to the place of burial on a gun carriage and was covered with a Union Jack. After the coffin had been lowered into the grave, 3 volleys were fired, and the last post was sounded, while the firing party stood at the present arms with bayonets fixed. So rest in peace, John. You will be remembered.